Hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Website Development, or AWD1111 Database-Driven Web Development course, I've been going through and doing a series of video presentations to get us ready for the class. I've done several presentations based off of The Valley of Code, which is a website, thevalleyofcode.com by Mr. Flavio Copes. I started by going through the main things that you'd find in client-side JavaScript, those being HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I did a lot of those, a bunch of 40 or so, 30, 40, whatever lessons. Then I went on and added some more of my own lessons from the AWD1000 Web Development Technologies course, which had some JavaScript fundamentals. Next, I went in and I added some stuff from Mr. Brad Traversy's Web Dev Guide. Okay, and then finally, I just finished up going through Mr. Cope's Node.js handbook. And when you take a look at what's out here, you'll notice the next step would be to go right to React. But before I do, I wanted to do Express. And he doesn't have any Express handbooks. He's got one that's coming. But if I click on it, there's nothing there. So I had a copy of his old book on Express, and I'm going to go through that. But before I do, I decided I'd go out to the actual Express website, all right, which is at, not there, is at ExpressJS.com. All right. Why? Because they've got getting started there, and they've got a few other things as well. All right. So I'm going to go through a little bit of what's in there. I haven't looked at this website probably in upwards of a year. So I do want to talk about it right now. So you'll notice it says Express is a fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for Node JS. Okay. Also, when you install it, this is much harder than it has to be. You don't have to go in and do this. You don't need npm install express -- save, because since version 5, it does the save for you automatically, and rather than install, you can just put in an I. So that's typically how you would install Express. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of it. It's designed to be fast. Well, that's a good start. All right. It's designed to be unopinionated. And what that means between unopinionated and minimalist, what they're basically saying is this is a framework. This is not a you must do this, then you must do this, then you must do this. All right. Rather, it's a way to get from point A to point B. All right. So it provides a robust set of features for web and mobile applications. With a myriad of HTTP utility methods and middleware at your disposal, creating a robust API or application program interface is quick and easy. Express provides a thin layer of fundamental web application features without obscuring Node.js features you know and love. Many popular frameworks are based on Express. All right, well, that's a start. Let's take a look at getting started. The installing, I don't think we have to talk about because I already have. All right, so they've got next is Hello World. So let's look at this. Now this, we've already looked at some of this stuff. All right, so I'm going to grab this and I'm going to copy it over to here and paste it in. We're going to look at it. All right, so the first thing is const express equals require express. Well, hopefully you know and remember, since we've just been out to npm expressjs.com, this is an external library. So we can bring this in directly from npm, from the Node Package Manager. All right. and we'll look at that in just a bit. So we're adding this from the Node Package Manager. This, I've never really had it explained to me why. Normally when you do this, you'd put in the word new in there, but you don't have to. And I'm not sure why. But what this is doing is it's creating a new instance of Express, and it's referring to it as app. All right? Okay. Then we've got this. This is going to be our constant for our port. This is going to be one app get from the home page. It'll say hello world, and it'll be listing here on port 3000. Let's make a couple changes to this, and then let's make a project out of it. As I've told you, I don't like using that. I like using 4000 or some other number. Now, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put a comment here. This is the route to the home page. All right, but I'm going to go and I'm going to add about 3 or 4 more of these. All right, and I'm going to assume that we have a website, and it has a home page in it. It has an about page in it. All right, and it has, let's say, a contact page in it. We'll just leave it at those 3 for now, okay? All right, now I'm going to have to make some changes here because this is the home page. This means if I put in nothing or I put in just a slash, it should come back with the words home page. But here, if I want to go to instead to the about page, I have to go to about. And if I want to go to the contact page, I have to put here contact. All right. So I'm going to grab all of this and I'm going to create a brand new project. You saw everything that I just put in there. Okay. And I'm going to, I had my first node, so I'm going to make another folder here and I'm going to call it First Express. Okay. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a new text document that I'm going to call app.js. And then I'm going to open this up, and inside of here I'm going to paste all that in. So again, putting in some comments here. This first line will bring in Express from the Node Package Manager, also known as NPM. All right. This second thing will create a new instance of Express referred to as app. All right. This next line will be a constant representing the port number. Now, you may or may not remember this from what we looked at earlier, but almost always you'll see it set up like this. Process.env.port or this. And what that means is if we are running this not on our local machine, but if we have ported it to the internet, and for example, if we had put this out on Heroku, it'll already have its own port, so it'll figure that out based on this. If I'm running it locally, so this would be for production mode. This would be for development mode. All right? And again, this says that if I just come in there and run the program and go to the home page. So in other words, this should be localhost :4000. That should bring up home page. If I go to the about page, this should bring up localhost :4000/about. And finally, for the contact should be localhost :4000. Oops, that's nice. Localhost :4000/ contact. So let's see if what I just told you is indeed correct. Finally, this will be the message on the server side console. And it should say example app listing on port 4000. Okay, if all this works. So I'm going to save this. Okay. Now, what didn't I do yet? I didn't make an Npm Init. I didn't do any of that stuff. But it still should work. This is a very limited app right now, but this should still work. Let's see if it does. So I'm going to right mouse click and say git bash here. All right. And now I'm just going to say node app.js. All right. And it came back and it didn't like something. Cannot find module express. Okay. Fair enough. So what's the problem? I got to go back here and bring in express to my project. I didn't do that. All right. So I'm going to clear and I'm going to say npm I express. But before I do that, I'm going to do this the right way. And what I mean is this. All right. I just created a project called First Express. So I'm going to go out here to GitHub and I'm going to make a new repository and I'm going to call it First Express. All right. And it will be public. I don't need the README. I make the git ignore myself. For the license, I'll just leave it at none. Okay. All right. So let's see. I had the same thing last time. Now, why isn't it liking this? Let's see. Create a new repository. Oh, it's got to select an owner. That's me. Now it should be there. There we go. All right. Let's do this git stuff and get it out of the way right away. All right. So I'm going to do my git init. Whoops. So there's my git init and initialized an empty git repository. What else do we have here? Do my git add readme. Well, we don't have a readme. We don't even have anything to add yet. But we can set our remote address. This is just setting the remote address to our project. So let's just do that. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Let's paste. Well, doesn't like something I did, so let's go back and grab that again. So copy, paste, hit enter. I can always tell if it worked or not by saying git remote -v. And there it is. Good. So all that stuff is done. So let's come back in here now. And let's clear the screen. And let's do our npm init. All right. So package name First Express. That's good. Version 1.0.0, but that's good. This is a simple Node JS app using Express. Okay, I'm keeping it simple. The entry point will be app.js, no test command. Notice it's found our Git repository, so I hit enter. Keywords, we can put in here node, node.js, express, express.js, and we'll put in here framework. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I'm the author and the license, that's fine. Is this okay the way it is? Yes. All right, so now if you take a look in here, I now have my package.json file. And if I open that up, it's everything I just showed you. But I notice in here I have no dependencies. So I'm going to change that right now. How do I do that? I come in here. Let me clear the screen. So I'm starting right back from on the top. npm I for install express. Whoops. Express. And hit enter. It's going to spin. It's going to do a couple of little things. Okay, let me clear again. And now what you'll notice is I have my node modules folder. I've got my package lock.json, and in my package.json, I now have in there, where is it? There it is, my dependency, which is Express. All right, that's exactly what I wanted to show you. So you've seen this. So let's run this now and see if it works. So node, in fact, let's do it the right way. Let's add nodemon. So I'm going to say here npm I minus capital D nodemon. Oops, I say npm, not mpn. npm. All right, so there's nodemon. It'll come back in a second. There we go. Again, now if I go back in here and one more time, open up my package.json, I have two different types of dependencies now. Okay, there's my dependency and there's my dev dependency. I'm going to also come back into here, remove this, and I'm going to put in here start, and that will be npm in double quotes, npm app.js. All right, and also my dev. You don't have to line this stuff up. I'm just a little squirrely that way. And this will be node app.js. Okay, that should be all I need for in here. We'll find out. But I want to bring this up with nodemon. So if I have to make changes, I can. Yes, I want to save that. So let's bring this up. Let's clear npm run dev. Okay, listing on port 4000. That's good. It's a good start. So let's do our localhost colon 4000. And we get homepage. That's good. If we change and append to this /about, we should get about page, and we do. And if we put in here contact, now we've got there. So we would have the ability, all I'm doing is just putting in some text, but these could be actual pages. We're going to learn how to do that kind of stuff in here. But what I wanted to show you is basically how we set this up. Is there a better way of doing this? The answer is yes, and we will get into that eventually as well. All right, so so we've done that. The app starts a server, and in our case, it's 4000. All right. For every other path, it will respond with 404 not found. What does that mean? That means that if I come in here and instead of contact, I put contacts and hit enter, it says cannot get /contacts. It's giving me an error message letting me know that I have no route that goes to a page called contacts. Just like if I came in here and put in hello, I get the same kind of message. All right. Now, it says next here, Express Generator. It says you can use the application generator tool to quickly create an application skeleton. Guess what? We're virtually never going to do that. We're going to write our own code. Why? Because that's the way you should be doing things. So I'm going to skip that whole section. Next is basic routing. So routing refers to determining how an application responds to a client request to a particular endpoint, which is a URI, which is a Uniform Resource Indicator, or path, and a specific HTTP request method, a GET, a POST, a PUT, or a DELETE. Typically, it's one of those. All right. Each route can have one or more handler functions that execute when the route is matched. All right, so we will be doing something like this. And I would argue we've already done this. So let me bring this up. I'm going to move that up real high. I'm going to bring this up, but I'm going to make it smaller. So you'll notice app.get with about, app.get with contact, app.listen. Those are all app.methods. And then there is a path, and a handler, which is what? All right, which is basically our callback function. All right, so we are following exactly the way we're supposed to be doing this. So this is showing a simple route. Now we're not doing a post yet. All right, but we will. In fact, we could grab all of these and just grab what they've got in there. All right, now this is going to give me some errors. Don't let it throw you, because I've copied in some regular text also. All right, so let me put those up here. All right, so we've got an app.post, and all we're going to say here is post request. That's it. All right, and this is a put, so we're going to put in here put request. This is a delete, so we're going to put in here delete request. What I am trying to show you is how we can go in and set up different routes. Now, when you do this, you're not going to be just putting in a word that tells what page you're on or a couple words. There's more that you're going to be doing. All right? And once we get to the point where we're doing more than just getting all of our, get is designed by default to get all the records. But what if we only want to get one record? We'll be able to do that. Post is designed to allow us to add new records. Put is designed, typically you give it a user or an ID, and it allows you to update a record. Delete allows you to delete a record. All right? Now, you might say, well, you're not doing anything with those, and I'm not even going to run that and show you those. No, because that's not how you do it. All right. Serving static files in Express. I'm running through their getting started. And you can see that I'm under static files. So we've got a little bit more to go here. I have not even gone back into yet talking about the, I've not even gone back in talking about the Express handbook from Copes. So this is serving static files. It says to serve static files such as images, CSS, etc., you use the Express static built-in middleware. All right. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to grab this right here. I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to put that right up above where I've got my route specified. So I can put this in here as route for a post request, route for a put, which is also an update request, and finally route for a delete request. Okay, now let me come back up here. So right after I've set up both of these, the app and the port, etc., I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put this. All right. This is the first time we've seen this. Add Node JS Middleware. What this says is any static files that we have. What are static files? HTML files, CSS files, image files, client-side JavaScript will be in a folder called public. What does that mean? That means that in order to do this, I should go back to my project, and let me bring this project up the right way. So let me bring it up in code. All right, so there it is. That's everything that we had from before. This is our app.js. It's the site. I'm not trying to put anything over on you, but I'm going to come in here, and where I've got this, my first express, I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call it public. And in there, that's where I will come in and add, for example, all right, I can come in here and I can add a new file. In fact, let's not even do that. Let's come in here and let's add new folders. So we'll make a CSS folder. All right, I'll come in here and I will put in an HTML folder. Maybe I won't even want that. How about a JS for JavaScript folder? I will come in here and I will add an images folder. So these are what are considered to be static stuff that we'd be putting in there. All right. Jumping back here. Images, CSS, and JavaScript. All right. So who cares? Honestly, who cares? Well, what if I did this? I'm going to come in here, and I've done this kind of thing before, but I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go out right now. I'll go out over here to images.google.com. All right, and I'm going to type in MERN here. Let's see. I kind of like this one, so I'm going to right mouse click. In fact, this is the one you normally see. So I'm going to right mouse click on this. I'm going to save the image, and I'm going to save it into First Express public images. And I'm just going to call it MERN.jpg. So I now have that image there. Okay? All right. So who cares? Well, I'm about to show you in just a minute. Okay? All right. Hopefully I will. To create a virtual path prefix where the path does not exist in the system for files served by the express static function, specify a mount path for the static directory as shown below. So we can do this. All right. And what we're doing is we're saying anything static is going to exist inside of public. Don't think we have to do that, but I guess we probably could. All right. So let's see. This we will want to do. We are going to want to add the path. This is part of the API for Node. This is not part of the Node Package Manager. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add that. All right. And I'm going to say add path module from Node JS API. Okay. All right. And what's next? This app.use. Okay. So I'm going to replace this app.use that's in there with this app.use. All right, let me move this over. There we go. Okay, and I'm saying under my regular directory, my home directory, which is First Express, there'll be a directory underneath there called public. And I'm going to use that to hold all of my static stuff. All right. Now, if I save this and go back again to when I ran it, just want to make sure I didn't break anything. And that is, this should still work in, say, homepage. This should still work in, say, about page. This should still work and say contact page. So all those work. I haven't broken anything. All right. And I am going to strongly suggest that as you're going through there and you're doing this kind of thing, that what you want to constantly be doing is make sure, add a little code and test. Don't write a ton of stuff and then test. Write a little code and test. Write a little more code and test. All right, I know this must be getting long. It already is at 30 minutes. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. All right? Because I'd like to get done with this first part of this. All right, so more examples. So it says this page lists examples using Express. So there's a bunch of different things in there. Notice there's like a simple hello world. All right, and if we look at that, we've already done this. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. There are more examples, it says. All right, FAQ. Let's quickly look at the FAQ. How should I structure my application? All right. This is a good place to stop because it'll allow me to talk about a few things that are a little bit more complex in nature. All right, so I'm going to stop right here.